Hello and welcome to ITIL 4 Specialist, Create, Deliver and Support, CDS Training and Certification Program from trainingsdirect.com. Firstly, about Trainings Direct, it's a global training organization. It's an accredited organization by PeopleCert to conduct Axelos courses like ITIL, Prince2 and others. And we also conduct other courses like DevOps, Agile Shift, which is from Axelos, of course, and other certifications as well. We have offices in several countries across the globe, and we provide trainings in IT, business management, project management, ISO standards, and others which are emerging training programs. The trainings are available in several modes, classroom originally, but also more conveniently in online with the live trainer, e-learning, which is self-learning, and or mixed blended approach, and with support provided to you after the training so that you succeed in your aspirations for your career. About myself, my name is Muralidhar Gadam, Murali in short. I'm certified in ITIL 4 in some of the certifications which have been published by Axelos at this point in time. I also teach ITIL as well as I teach PMP, Prince2, and Successful Program Management, which is also from Axelos. I'm also certified in Verism, which is from the IFDC, which is a digital transformation related certification. Somewhat similar to ITIL, though it considers ITIL as just one element of the digital transformation. And I'm also certified in DevOps. So this is my portfolio. I've been working in IT for quite some time, though over the last 5 years I've been mostly into education and a bit of consulting. And I worked with teams on site, as well as mostly in my own home country in India. So I usually try to bring in my own experience while educating others. At the same time, I like to interact with them and appreciate their insights, their experiences, their queries, so that it is a successful program for all of us. You and me both succeed, and we go towards the certification and are able to obtain those certifications and move forward in our career. So I worked in IT service management, but also in software development, and I've been a project manager, program manager, looked at various technologies, databases, OS, operating systems, and so on, and eventually moved up to directing levels in various global organizations. All these materials are based on Axelos guidances. So we acknowledge Axelos for allowing us to incorporate those guidances into these training programs. And because we are an accredited organization, we are required to comply with some of the standards maintained by Axelos and PeopleCert. This is the overall certification scheme for ITIL 4, IT Infrastructure Library, that is. It begins with the foundation level. And right now, this training program is focusing on the first box in the middle, Create, Deliver, and Support, CDS. There are other programs like Drive Stakeholder Value, High Velocity IT, Direct, Plan, and Improve. These 4 certifications together take you to the Managing Professional destination. On the other hand, if you did Direct, Plan, and Improve along with the Digital and IT Strategy, it will take you to the Strategic Leader certification, the path. So there are 2 paths here. You could choose either one based on your own needs, your own experience, and your aspirations. Those of you who hold a V3 certification, particularly if you have a V3 expert certification, you would have to just write this single exam, MP, Managing Professional Transition, or a bridging exam to directly reach the MP level in V4. But if an individual has not reached expert in V3, they would have to continue the other certifications in V3 in order to reach the minimum criteria to take the MP transition exam. Otherwise, if you are new to ITIL, then you could begin with Foundation ITIL and move upwards. The ITIL Master is for individuals who can demonstrate experience, and the exam is It also includes interviews and other checks before the master certification is awarded. A little bit about the publications and the exam, how they work. For every exam, there is a publication. For example, this one, CDS, has its own publication from Excelos, and that's the basis for this training. So these are the ones repeated again: foundation, create, deliver, and support, drive stakeholder value, high velocity IT, direct plan and improve, digital IT strategy. The most recent one is the digital IT strategy. Every practice is published separately. I mean, the manuals are different. And for managing professional, there is no separate publication. It's based on the remaining manuals. It's also important to understand the exam syllabus. The exam doesn't include the complete manual for each topic. It includes the syllabus, that is, includes content, some content from the publication. It also includes content from the practices. So Excelos also publishes practices like release management, deployment management. You see here incident management, business analysis. There are 34 such practices. And there are some practices only which are applicable for this certification, not all the 34. So eventually, if you covered all the Excelos certification, you will be well versed with all the 34 certifications. Some certifications require knowledge of few practices. Some certifications require knowledge of many more practices. So we're going to eventually look at which practices are relevant for the CDS certification. And there is some content from the publication which are not included. So not the 100% from every manual is part of the exam. Therefore, the syllabus document. So if you created an account on the Excelos site, and if you logged in, you could download sample papers, you can download the syllabus, and you can see which are the chapters from the manual which are included for the exam. However, in this training, you don't have to be worrying about it because I'm going to show you clearly what the syllabus is before we go into every topic. It's good to know a little bit about the Bloom's level or the Bloom's taxonomy of learning. The foundation exam on one hand focuses more on testing understanding of concepts and recalling from memory those concepts. However, the managing professional exams, meaning the CDS one like this one, or the HVIT, or the DSV, or the DPI and DITS, those are the other certifications in V4. Those have questions not only at the level 2. So foundation has level 1 and level 2 questions. It's recalling concepts and understanding them. So that's level 2 is about understanding the concepts. But there are also level 3 questions in the create, deliver, and support exam, which means we need to understand how to apply those concepts. So it's not a thorough analysis of the concepts. It's not looking into very complex situations or becoming creative or anything, but it's just a simple application of the concept. Therefore, there are no questions at the higher levels like Bloom 4 and above. And experience is not required in ITIL. So which means your work experience is not verified before you write the exam. However, you would have to take training, which can be in any mode like e-learning or trainer-based learning. Now about the exam itself, it's a 1.5 hour exam. If the foundation exam is for 1 hour, whereas the higher level exams like this one are for 1.5 hours. There are 40 questions to be covered in 90 minutes, 90, 28 to pass. Unlike the foundation where you need only 26 to pass out of 40, here you need 28 to pass. So the challenge is a little bit more, and plus you have to apply the concepts rather than just understanding and recalling the concepts. It's invigilated by someone, and it's a closed book exam. No case studies will be there, but every question poses a small situation. Some questions, there may be limited questions where there are some theory tested, because it does have the Bloom level 2 questions to recall, understand, and clarify concepts, but there'll be more level 3 questions to apply the concepts. Moving on. This is the introduction to the CDS. It's a specialist certification. This is like the engine room of the IT organization. Just like in the olden days, we had steam engines. Eventually, there were electric engines, diesel engines, then electric engines. And now I think in 1 or 2 countries, they even have the magnetic elevation, magnetic levitation trains as well when it comes to engines on trains. So similarly, CDS is the main engine of the IT function or the digital function. Therefore, it is very useful for people who are practicing IT on a day-to-day basis. It is useful for engineers, specialists, as well as leaders like managers, senior managers, and more so relevant in the digital age where people talk about digital transformation, collaboration, artificial intelligence, and so on. So those who are into delivery of services, developing services, deploying them, installing, monitoring and supporting, and creating assurance, complying with regulations and etc. They are the ones who would benefit with these certifications because it equips you with practical knowledge from the various practices to understand how do we do things like manage incidents or manage releases, etc. It gives focus on how users are supported and how services are delivered. There's also a little bit of strategic direction provided in the CDS certification by looking from a holistic view rather than looking at a very lower level. You would be, when we go into the value stream, it allows you to or promotes you to look at from a very high level in terms of how various departments or various functions and teams within an organization are able to respond to customer requests efficiently and effectively, rather than every individual or every department focusing on just what they are doing. So it's a collective performance, not individual performance. So there's a lot about the value streams in the CDS, though it originally came from manufacturing. So we're going to learn a lot more about it here. And interestingly, and for your benefit, unfortunately, there's also information, good amount of information about the modern technologies like robotics, automation, AI, machine learning, analytics like data science, and so on. Not too in-depth, but however, some familiarity with how these upcoming emerging technologies may be applied in IT service management. However, one has to be open to the newer innovations which are coming up in the market, because what is emerging today will become outdated maybe after some years. And we also have frameworks like Agile, DevOps, Shift Left, which have gained significant popularity. And we're going to understand how these things also work and how these support IT service management. Before I proceed further, since I have spoken about the syllabus, I would like to show you just a sample question. We are not going to attempt it now, but this is a sample question officially published by Axelos. So for the exam, you have to be prepared to answer such questions. There will be another video we will have the complete sample paper practiced for your benefit. So if you look at the question size, it is not too small, not too large, but of a medium size, which means that we must do some thinking and some application of the concepts what we learned from this training. This question is about the value stream. It actually tests us without going into the details here. The question is, which statement about the design of the value stream is most correct? So there's a bit of challenge maybe, depending on our understanding of the concept of value stream. So good preparation is essential for the CDS exam and other ITIL exams. So as I mentioned, we won't really go into this question right now. And one more thing about the exam is you would have, from the 40 questions, there are 16 questions on value stream, which is a significant number. It doesn't mean that all the 16 questions will just be on the value stream, but also the associated practices for the value stream. For example, there may be change enablement, incident management, or any other practices which are connected with the value stream concept. So you would have several questions from those practices also. In fact, out of the 16 value stream questions, 10 questions are coming from the practices, and the remaining 6 questions only are coming from the value stream concept itself. About the modern technologies, which I was talking a while ago, you will have 4 questions from there. Every question has the same amount of mark, 1 mark per question. Therefore, 4 questions for technologies like robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, and so on. And there are 8 questions on the general topics like culture, team management, competencies, skills, etc., general concepts of CDS. And there are 2 more topics which have 12 questions in total, and this is coming from the work prioritization. For example, things like Kanban, the queuing systems, how to prioritize work, how to assign work, allocate work, triaging, swarming, shift left, and some of those concepts. There will be 12 questions from there. These 12 questions also include questions about supplier management, the different types of suppliers, the outsourcing aspects, and the different models, the newer model of CM, service integration and management. So all these concepts together, supplier and work prioritization, have 12 marks. So therefore, just to summarize, 8 marks on the general questions, 4 questions on IT technologies, 16 questions on value stream, which include 10 questions from practices, and 12 questions from work prioritization and supplier management. There may be a slight difference in the allocation of marks as compared to what I have told you. Yeah, but this is the general guidance from Excelos. Therefore, by the end of this module, you would be able to understand how to plan and build a service value stream to create, deliver, and support services. A service value stream is an end-to-end view of what happens from the time a customer makes a request and until the time the customer's request is fulfilled. And there may be several types of requests. For example, a user submitting an incident information, or a customer asking for a new service, or asking for an improvement in a service. Each of those situations is a different value stream. And therefore, to respond to those requests and to create those value streams, different departments, different functions, different groups of people have to work together and collaborate, not just cooperate, collaborate and make sure the customer is satisfied or delighted. Second objective, understand how relevant ITIL practices contribute to creation, delivery, and support across the service value system and value streams. So it goes a little bit above the value stream concept. There are other things about the practices. How are the practices enabling the delivery, the creation, the delivery, and support of services? And lastly, in general, how to create, deliver, and support services using the various practices, using the value stream concepts, using other concepts like supplier management, IT, modern technologies, the general concepts like culture, competencies, skills, teamwork, collaboration, and so on. And on the right, you see, once again, reiterating that the practices are also playing a key role in the exam syllabus. You will recollect from the foundation level that there are 6 value chain activities, the SVC, that is, engage, plan, improve, design, transition, obtain, build, deliver, and support. And you see here the box, the rectangular box, which highlights design and transition, obtain, build, deliver, and support. So these are the 3 main SVC activities which are pertaining to the CDS guidance, which means that you're going to see in this training program elements about design and transitions, elements about obtaining and building, elements about delivery and support, and less about engagement aspects meaning the relationship aspects, and less about the planning aspects, and less about the improvement aspects. However, those are also essential. We cannot ignore them entirely. Just in case you are thinking what the syllabus really is, here it is in front of you. It has several sections. So this is the 1.1, the first one. This is the criteria or the syllabus itself, the curriculum itself. We are going to go through 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Then we move on to 2.1 until 2.4, and similarly 3.1 to 3.2. So we've got about 10 sections or 10 different criteria within the syllabus to cover in this training program. And it also includes, by the way, those practices as well. The relevant practices, that is. So to begin with, on the CDS, we're going to understand the concepts and challenges relating to organization structure. There are different types of organization structures. Those of you who are into project management will understand the challenges of dealing with the different types of organization structures when you run projects. Similarly, when you create services, deliver services, you would have to keep into perspective those various organization structures. Then there's the concept of integrated and collaborative teams. Traditionally, we would have cooperation and helping each other, but now it's more about collaboration. So we will have a clear understanding about what's the difference between the traditional cooperative approach and the more modern collaborative approach. Without teams and clearly defined roles, skills, and competencies, it's impossible to undertake any endeavor. Therefore, team capabilities, roles, and competencies are important to be understood and planned properly. Team culture is, for example, when teams are distributed across several locations, how do we maintain a team culture? And therefore, it's essential to know what is the definition of team culture by which we are more alert to establish and maintain the team culture, irrespective of how the team members are spread, single location, multi-location, etc. Working as per a customer-orientated or a customer-oriented mindset. All of us know that customers are the number one stakeholder, and particularly ITIL guidance tells us that the most important stakeholder when we focus on value is the customer. And how do we achieve that? What is this customer mindset? Employee satisfaction. Research has found out that satisfied employees, happy employees also make happy customers. So it's important to satisfy employees by working, by supporting them, taking their feedback, implementing their feedback. So not just taking feedback, but also showing responses or action plans to tell them that, hey, we are taking action on your feedback. Lastly, positive communications. These are principles about communications. You might have experienced sometimes that if a communication is not done properly, if it is not done to the right individual, to the right group, if it is not done at the right time, at the right place, then things will not be as expected. So there are some principles, there are 5 principles here, which are of relevance when it comes to communications. So let's get started with the first concept which has come up, organization structure. There are various types of organization structures, beginning from very flexible, ad hoc structures to extremely formal, extremely efficient and effective structures. We're going to focus just on some of them, not all of them, because you might have heard about virtual structures, network structured, PMO or a project management office kind of structure. But here are the ones which are very relevant for us here. Functional structures, divisional, matrix, and flat structures. Functional are the traditional ones. These are hierarchical. I report to somebody, they report to somebody else above them, but within a single department. If I'm from IT, IT is one function. If you are from marketing and sales, you are in a different function. If you are coming from finance, it's a third function. If you are from administration, facilities, it's another function. Therefore, functional organizations focus heavily on their own competencies. They don't focus on the overall organizational goals, though they contribute to the organization goals. So in functional, therefore, It's competency specific assignment of people and allocation of people. As you see here, HR, IT, finance, marketing, etc. Therefore, a person from one department may not be able to easily collaborate with an individual from another department. So I would like you to think more about these things. However, for the exam, you don't have to go too deep into this subject, but you must be aware of what these different types are. So this is a very traditional approach. Eventually, companies have realized that this will not work, so they actually moved to the matrix level. In matrix, we mix up. There is maybe a group of project managers who cut across various departments, and that project manager has been given sufficient authority to deal with the different departments like IT, engineering, marketing, sales, HR, etc. We are hoping that those group of project managers or specialist leaders have more authority than the functional managers so that they can command those functional managers. But if those special leaders are having less authority than the functional managers, then again, it is almost becoming like a functional organization. So in functional, for example, if you have an IT person who is made the leader for to lead people from various departments, the people from the other departments may or may not really listen to the commands of the IT person. Whereas in matrix, this person doesn't come from IT, doesn't come from sales, doesn't come from HR and marketing. So they come from a different pool who can cut across those various divisions and do their command and control. Divisional is a slight extension of the functional. It's basically splitting the functions across geographies. So you might have in Asia Pacific, marketing, sales, etc. Again, in Europe, Middle East, Africa, you might have the same structure, marketing, HR, IT, etc. And then North America, you might have the same structure, marketing, IT, and so on. Or you might do that not by the departments, you might do that by product basis. You might have various product lines. Automobile companies, for example, have different product lines. However, in the last few decades, from the 1990s onwards, automobile companies have become very matrix oriented, where they bring in specialist project managers to work efficiently with those various departments and ensure that the deadlines are met. There is focus on customer requirements, focus on meeting the deadlines and delivering within the budget. Flat structures is the most interesting one. This is the more modern approach. Very less bureaucracy. Everybody is at the same level. Everyone are associates. There may be some pros and cons of this. There are some advantages. It cuts across. If I'm at a very low level, I may just report directly to someone, and somebody who is more experienced than me will also be reporting to the same person. Therefore, I think there is a lot more empowerment to the individual. They can send their messages very quickly to the upper management. So we look at some pictures and clearly understand how flat management looks like. However, in flat management, let's say we have only 50 people today in an organization. All the 50 might be reporting to the CEO. But what if that 50 becomes 100, that becomes 200, 300? Then can all the 300 report to the CEO? Probably not. So that's one of the challenges of the flat organization. Then we would require a few people below the CEO and to whom those 300 people can report to in different groups. Here we have a lot more clarity on the functional structure. As I was telling you, we've got different departments: marketing, sales, services. Within marketing, we have the geography-wise split, sales again same, services again same. So imagine somebody from North America sales has been asked to coordinate some activity or create a new service for which we require support from marketing and services as well. Then it's going to be difficult because this person here from this box here may have challenges in dealing with people who are collaborating from other areas. It may be easier for this person to collaborate with this one, but not with the others. Therefore, functional, whereas their expertise in their own sales area. Service people are experts in their own area, so they work well in their own streams rather than having to work with the other streams. So therefore, normally, if a person would like to grow their career in a certain competency, functional organizations are really good. But if you want to grow your competency as a general expert, then you need to go to probably to the matrix organization structures. Before that, we have the divisional structure. You see, product-wise, chemical, plastic, electronic. In another company, we've got European division, US division, rest of the world. So it's a little bit decentralized by geography or by product line. So it has its own advantages. In the exam, you never know, you might have a question about this is the current structure and it has certain problems and what should be done to overcome this problem. You may have to think on your feet then and say, okay, currently this is a functional structure and we may have to move into divisional or matrix or flat structure. So understanding the concepts is essential, and afterwards practicing certain questions is also important before you go for the exam. So in this case, as you see some of the advantages, speed will be good because, for example, the plastic division can focus heavily and go to the market with their own greater understanding of the plastics market. Yeah, but then the problem here is they may be not able to penetrate the various geographies. On the other hand, on the right side, you have got the geography penetration, but product-wise penetration may be lacking. Therefore, some companies mix both of these approaches. And both of them are separate examples of a divisional structure. Matrix organizations, this is the structure most organizations use. You essentially have people. Usually they are project managers or program managers or business change managers or sponsors of large programs and projects who cut across the various functional lines like production, finance, marketing, R&D, and so on. And they make their presence strongly felt across these groups to motivate and progress programs and projects which combine the people from these various groups. So there are some advantages that way when somebody cuts across the various departments and makes things happen. But on the other hand, there may be some isolation here. The project manager is not belonging to any competency. So they have to focus their career only on the project, program, or business change aspects rather than building their career in a certain finance area or a marketing area. Just like something like a jack of all trades, master of none. However, they have to be a master leader. It can be very challenging and very interesting to have roles like business change managers, program managers, and project managers, with due respect to those individuals. Flat structure, very simple, clear drawing, and very interesting, of course. All these people here are reporting to the VP operations. Here, everybody from admin reports to the VP admin. They report to the CEO. And it is existing in some organizations already in some of the countries. But the problem here is if the number grows, then you cannot have hundreds of people reporting to the VP operations. Therefore, they will introduce one more layer. So it works well for maybe small to medium-sized organizations, not for large organizations. Maybe organizations which are trying to create innovative products and make their presence in the market very fast, they can go with this structure. Okay, let's move on. Now that we have covered the various organization structures, we'll look at some other elements like servant leadership. If you're familiar with leadership concept, the difference between leadership and management, and also the various styles of leadership, some people use their power, their rewarding aspects, their punishing aspects to lead others. Some people use their charm, their expertise, their authority, their title designation to lead others. And there are many other theories of leadership like contingency leadership and situational leadership and so on. However, we are going to focus more on the servant leadership because this is the most relevant for IT service management in the modern digital era. And what is servant leadership really? This leadership, as the word servant tells us, it's focused on the support of people. So it's like being not selfish. It's like being selfless towards the others. However, that selflessness is towards the organization. There is a selfishness rather towards the organization. So the managers focus on the needs of the organization, not just their team. So two things here: they focus on their people's development, and they do that for the benefit of the organization. And in the process, they don't focus too much on their own needs. They're kind of a sacrificing manager. Therefore, they don't work based on their authority. When the moment they show the authority and their command, they have lost the servant leadership aspect. Therefore, we sometimes hear in the agile world, when there are scrum masters and agile software developers and so on, when they bring in a project manager, the project manager is used to some amount of command and authority. But when they are in an agile project, they need to become a servant leader, because people are not going to listen to them. The project manager has to allow the planning to be performed by the team members. The only thing the PM could do there is to maybe verify the plan and provide guidance on how good planning can be done. So the managers serve and support the people, and they provide them the resources like tools, technologies, and other enablers are provided by servant leaders. And it works well when it's a matrix organization and cross-functional. They're very similar actually, because the servant leaders are kind of sacrificing and listening to everybody, supporting everybody, but in a subtle way or in a maybe a mysterious way, they're making things happen. What is a cross-functional organization? We haven't seen this before. It's not exactly like a matrix organization. It is a combination of matrix and flat. So there may be some groups of people who are flat and some groups of people who are matrix within the same large organization, and they work with these. So the servant leaders understand how flat organizations work. They do their best to enable the cooperation between the flat structures and the matrix structures and any other structures. From the foundation level or from the V3 ITIL practitioner level, where you have the ITIL guiding principles, some of the principles are all the principles that can help you in moving towards servant leadership for the combined matrix plus flat structure, which is a cross-functional structure. So for example, start where you are. A principle can be applied when working with servant leadership, or collaborate and promote visibility can be used when working with the servant leadership approach. So just to summarize, it's a key concept. Therefore, I want to summarize it again. Servant leadership, they lead by example. They treat others as their equals. They don't think they are the boss, and they enable the collaboration between the team members. They also collaborate with team members. They also they are hands-on, meaning they share the responsibilities. They are like a coach. They allow people to be motivated. They enable people to remove their mental obstacles. So they coach them. They give them support, facilitate resources for them, and they work in a consensus mode. They don't make the decisions on their own. They involve people when they make decisions, which empowers and motivate people. And one of the good things about servant managers is they make people comfortable to come up to them and ask for help. Sometimes in some cultures, people hesitate to go to their management to go for help. They struggle with their own problems, because if they go to their supervisor, it is like a demeaning thing for them, meaning they will be considered as worthless. It's very cultural. On the other hand, servant leaders are not like that. They allow people to come to them and share their problems so that they can coach them to work on them, guide them properly. They have some unique qualities like listening skills. They don't talk all the time, they listen. They listen, but without judging people, because they want to make the people satisfied. They want to make the people comfortable, and develop the people, meet the people's aspirations, support the people's dreams, desires, wishes, and they have empathy. They know exactly what is going on in the minds of the people. So they build community sometimes to heal problems and to grow people. They have foresight about the future. They use, of course, they're good leaders as well. They persuade, they know how to influence and persuade. It's not that they're always very sober, quiet, shy type. No, not at all. They're extremely strong in the other leadership skills. They can conceptualize, they can create ideas, they can envision something for the future, but they are true, they are real, they are genuine people. They develop people, and they also allow the sharing of power. Yeah? And just one last thing maybe, The servant leadership, as you might have thought, it may not work in every situation. In some teams where they are used to command and control, and if you bring in a servant leader, the team might start wondering, oh, why is this person like this? We can't work with this person. This person is trying to support us so much that they seem to be a very weak leader. So they misunderstand the servant leadership. So anybody who's going for a servant leadership need to have caution so that they are not seen as a very weak. Yeah? Otherwise, it's a very strong way of leadership. Integrated or combined and collaborative teams. Cooperation is the traditional term. The modern term is collaboration. In cooperative organizations, just as an example, when people come into office, they check their email first. In collaborative organizations, they don't check email first. They open their collaboration tool to see what ideas they can post, to look at what ideas others have posted, to vote on others' ideas, to reject others' ideas, but without judging others. Rejection doesn't mean we are trying to demean somebody. It only says that, thank you for contributing the idea, but in this situation, this idea might not work. So somebody has to moderate those ideas, why somebody is rejecting an idea also. Otherwise, collaboration can become a major chaos. Yeah? However, it's just an example of the difference between collaboration and cooperation. Now let's look theoretically at what it really means. In cooperation, you and me, when we cooperate, we have separate goals. You have your own goal, I have my own goal, but we are ready to help each other. In collaboration, both of us have the same goal. It's an organization goal. In cooperation, the goals are aligned. I may align my goal with my work. You align your goal with your work, but here, very similar again, shared and integrated. Your and my goal are shared. For example, if you're all developing a service together, all of us know clearly this is the timeline of the service, this is how we need to work with each other, and so on. On the other hand, in cooperation, you focus more on your own design, I focus more on my own testing, but in collaboration, I will come and help you with your design. Though I'm a tester, I may give you feedback about your design in an open manner. So collaboration requires a lot more trust than cooperation. So as you see there, everyone succeeds or fails together in collaboration, whereas in cooperation, they succeed independently. Imagine a satellite being launched. The satellite team works very well. They build an excellent satellite. The launch vehicle team builds an excellent launch vehicle. They succeed. The mission control and the electronics and communication, they build an excellent system and they succeed. But together, they could not launch the satellite. Maybe because the collaboration was lacking. They cooperated very well with each other to understand the interfaces between each other. For example, how the satellite should fit into the launch vehicle. The dimensions are very well communicated. Yeah. So those aspects where the interfaces should happen between different groups of people, that comes more in the collaboration. Friendliness exists in cooperation, but there's a lot more resource problem solving also happening. If you have a problem, I can give you my resource because there are cross-skilled people. In both cases, technology is not really necessary. If it is there, it is helpful. On the collaboration side, trust is important, respecting each other, transparency. When people trust each other, they talk to each other very openly. They give feedback openly without hurting the other's emotions. One person could tell the other, oh, by the way, I noticed that you are taking too much time on the design. I have a suggestion here. If you do this, maybe you could do it faster. However, I do want to appreciate your expertise and so on. But in cooperation, that is not how it is. In cooperation, they keep it to themselves. Oh, this person's design sucks. I don't want to tell them about it because I better think about my own job. So it can go so bad in cooperation. So effective communication in the cooperation, whereas multi-channel. Effective means we have regular meetings, regular emails, and so on in cooperation. But in collaboration, a lot of systems exist, stand-up meetings, daily meetings, face-to-face, listening, asking questions, summarizing the other's point of view, slightly contradicting the other's point of view and raising some our own ideas on that, and also making sure the information is integrated. Imagine if you are a user and you are calling the service desk with an issue, and they tell you, okay, tell me what is your issue, and they log into a ticket. And when you follow up on an email, and they say, sorry, we don't understand your email. Can you give us all the information you gave us before? That is really bad for the user, isn't it? Therefore, in collaboration, the system should be integrated. So there are some dependencies on technology like omni-channels, where multiple channels are integrated into one single tool, where the customer doesn't have to repeat information provided earlier. That's the meaning of this multi-channel and the integration of multi-channels into an omni-channel. Big picture is essential. All of us need to know the big picture in collaboration, whereas cooperation, they may know the big picture, but they don't focus too much on it. They focus much on their own role. Is their career growing? That's why servant leadership doesn't really work in cooperation. PESTLE factors, you might recollect from the foundation level: political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental. All service management activities are influenced by the external PESTLE environment or the PESTLE environment. These are external factors which may create risks or influence IT service management. In cooperation, they focus on the PESTLE factors for their own role, for their own tasks. But here on the left, PESTLE is understood from a big picture view for the entire effort. I will need to understand the PESTLE of yours also, and vice versa. Because only then I can contribute to your development, only then you can contribute to my development, and therefore together we can succeed. And that is where it also connects to the value stream concept. In value stream, all the departments have to be working at their maximum efficiency. It's not that, oh, I am from finance, I have provided my approval, I have done my job. Now it is your job to ship the product. No, it's not like that. Everybody is working together. So there's a lot more flexibility which is required when we look at the value stream concept, and which connects with the collaboration concept. So just a few more things on the collaboration. Normally the technical teams, if you come to IT service management particularly, the technical teams cooperate with each other. Let's say there are 15 team members in a technical team, they may collaborate very well among each other, not only cooperate, but they need to collaborate with other departments like HR, quality, admin, transport, facilities, and so on. And in the same way, people from those departments should also be able to interact easily with the tech team. They should be able to give feedback to the tech team. A person from HR may be able to tell the tech team openly that, by the way, you are doing this software programming, don't you think that this methodology is a little outdated? I know it's a very dangerous statement to make. It may be an extreme example, but that's the kind of empowerment employees have in a collaborative environment. They can go beyond their level of authority and give suggestions to the others for the benefit of the other without disrespecting the other. So they can't really say that your design is poor. They say that I happen to read in the media that there are some new tools available in the market. For example, Smart Service Desk has a wonderful, excellent tool for service management and many other things. And right now we are using this tool. Have you considered that? And they may say, oh, is it so? Let me look at it. That's a good input. And they go and look at the Smart Service Desk.co, and they look at it and they see, wow, this is an excellent tool. Why don't we use it? And they may go to that organization and put an inquiry and purchase it. So just one example of a single tool, but there could be other examples in a similar way. Continuing on the collaborative teams, it's also about how to do the job. Traditionally, people are used to working in a logical manner, algorithmic. For example, there is an incident. It's a known type of incident. So it's easy for us. We know the step-by-step process to handle an incident. Step number 1, log the incident. Step number 2, categorize. Step number 3, prioritize. And then afterwards, do the initial diagnosis. If required, escalate it. And then all that, looking for workarounds and all that comes until the incident is closed. So therefore, it follows a defined process. Instructions are clear, follow the rules, clear inputs, outputs, instructions, branches. Reassignment, like escalation of the ticket can happen, handover can happen. One shift is closing, they hand over to the second shift and they take over the incident. And those who are doing the job may also, one good thing is they may understand where they can improve the process, which is good actually, even in the algorithmic tasks. And normally people are, as per their commitments, performance commitments to the organization, and normally we see that improvement is also an important task for employees. Their performance is just based on how they improve things. But more so in the modern world, improvement has become an even bigger factor to measure performance of an employee. On the other hand, look at a heuristic task on the right side. As an example, if there is a complex incident, then following a step-by-step process may not really work. We have to be a little bit flexible in the process, modify that a little bit. We may have to bring several teams together at one go, which may not have been done before. Normally the escalation might happen, team number one, the network team first. If they say, though we don't know, then we escalate to the database team. The database team says that we don't know where the problem really is. It's not in our side. Then they give it to maybe the server support team and so on. But in heuristic, we may have to involve everybody and experiment a bit until it is clear who can take ownership of that incident. Another example could be researching the market and experiment the rollout of a new service. A service which has not been delivered by any other company before. Just like Uber and so on. Initially, when they released their Uber app, it was totally new for the community. They might have experimented a little bit with some users, and when they found that it was working very well, they promoted the market in various countries, and they obtained more funding, and it became a major product across the globe. So those are known as heuristic approaches. Depends on human understanding and intervention. Because complexity exists, therefore human beings have to use their intelligence, be very flexible in terms of the path. The path may not be fixed. They have a goal, but reaching the goal is not a fixed path. Reaching the goal is an experimental path. Learning and discovery by dealing with various stakeholders like customers, users, user representatives, other leaders, the purchasing department, any other departments, not just tech department. But it comes with experience. Those who are less experienced may not be able to do heuristic work. On the other hand, they say sometimes a child should be guided properly by its parents, and they develop into a good individual. Similarly, a new entrant into a job, a fresh graduate, if they are taught how to do heuristic work, they can develop very quickly in heuristic work. So collaboration, swarming, DevOps, these are some of the ways to do heuristic work. We'll discuss DevOps just a little bit in this. DevOps is more explained in more detail under the HVIT, high velocity IT. Swarming, we will look at swarming here. Swarming is definitely covered. The example of managing a complex incident by bringing in people from various areas rather than assigning one by one after another. That's known as swarming. And also one more word of caution here is heuristic work may not be always okay to do. Sometimes we do need the algorithmic work. We must follow procedures sometimes. And if there is repetitive work, an example of a toil is repetitive work. When the work has no meaning, when it is monotonous, when the work doesn't add too much value, then normally one thinks about automation when something is repetitive. So the moment we automate it, we have removed some of the toil. So it's important that even when we use the heuristic approach, we should not be doing things which are unnecessary. For example, too much of experimentation may not really move us towards the end goal. Now we move on to a new topic, and that is team capabilities, roles, competencies. So you might have noticed already that we haven't really talked much about IT, service management, technologies, and so on. We have been talking about teams, the collaboration culture, then the general management concepts. But it is essential. If you look at how to create, deliver, and support services and perform service management, it is essential to understand the foundations of that. That's why we are going through all these foundations. You will see a lot of text here, a lot of HR kind of text here, but it is essential that we understand them. And the focus here is not on the traditional roles, but the more modern emerging roles. How do we deal with the modern challenges of IT service management, and how do we adjust our role mapping, skill mapping, competency mapping, etc., and the team culture and team organization to make it successful for the demanding customers and users. Traditionally, people did different kinds of jobs: programming, business analysis, tech support, designers, etc. I used to do a lot of programming. Eventually, I came into support. Eventually, I got into management, managed projects, managed customer accounts. And sometimes, even though I moved into a senior level, I would still do sometimes technical job based on my experience. I would be pulled back into highly technical roles. Yeah. But again, coming back to the management roles, doing back and forth. But the newer roles require more flexibility. A person cannot be having expertise just in one area. They need to have multiple expertises. So, of course, one area could be deep expertise, but there should be other areas where they have some experience, some expertise, which is a totally new concept. And people also require other skills, business awareness and skills, not just technical skills like how they can motivate. They need to gain leadership skills as soon as possible. They need to understand relationship management with their colleagues, with external contacts, with their management, though this focuses more on the relationship between the service provider and the service consumer. So if I'm at a junior level in my service function, I'm a technical analyst, let's say, I need to have a good relationship with the user who is calling me, who is communicating with me. On the other hand, my extremely senior manager, a vice president from the provider organization, need to maintain a relationship with his or her counterpart in the customer organization. Negotiation skills, commercial management can be used in during contract management, during agreement of the service levels. Yeah, so there's a connection with the supplier and contract management as well. How do we do the contracting process? How do we select the suppliers? And how to make decisions? Do we outsource something, or do we keep it in-house? If we outsource, then what is the model? Do we have a single provider? Do we have multiple service providers, multiple suppliers? Or if I have to deal with 10 suppliers, do I deal separately with each one of them? Or can I keep a broker in between, an intermediate supplier? So I, as a customer, deal with only one supplier, and that supplier deals with the remaining 10 suppliers. So these are some of the things which can be done in supplier management. Therefore, a lot more skills are required for the modern digital service management world. Some basic concepts, nothing new here. Role is a set of responsibilities. It's not a job title. If my role is approver, then I'm responsible to maybe approve some things. Yeah, I have authority to do something. If my role is a designer, I have certain tasks to do and certain authorities as a lead designer. Set of responsibilities, activities, and authorizations granted to a person or team in a specific concept. A job is a position within an organization that is assigned to a specific person. Now, a single job may have multiple roles. That's what we see at the bottom. A single person, as part of their job, fulfill many different roles. I may be a service desk analyst, so my job title is service desk analyst, but I may be doing two roles. One, I am performing request management role. Secondly, I'm doing an incident management role. Third, I may be doing configuration librarian role. Yeah. As a configuration librarian, I'm authorized to update, maintain configuration item information within the CMDB. And I have other roles as well. But my job title is service desk analyst. So my job description will include descriptions of all the 3 roles. Now here comes the important part. This is something you have to know for the exam as well. While you're taking a look at this, the various competencies defined by ITIL 4, leader, administrator, coordinator, communicator, methods and techniques expert, technical expert. We will look at the details of what each one of them really mean. L, A, C, M, T. You may want to memorize this in some way. L, A, C, M, T, LAC, M, T. Yeah, like that. Lead, administer, coordinate, communicate, methods, techniques, expertise, technical expert. There are 2 types of experts, methods and techniques, as well as technical expert. And in IT service management, you can appoint people in different roles in this manner. So if you call a person in a CAT role, what that means is they are mainly a communicator coordinator. And their secondary role is administrator, and the tertiary role is technical expert. On the other hand, TMA profile, role competency profile, means this person is primarily a technical expert, but they also do some amount of methods and techniques expert, and they do a little bit of administration, which means for the job what they are doing, these are the 3 competencies they need. But in their current job, they use the first competency to the maximum, they use the second competency a little bit, and they use the third competency the least. That's how we need to understand this, and you have to know this for the exam as well. But we'll go and understand these 5 competencies, what they mean, and we'll also look at what do these CAT, TMA, and NCT. So when you think about it, if an individual is assigned in a CAT profile, they're good in communications and coordination. They also can do some administration, and they do a little bit of technical expertise. Then they could be maybe a relationship manager, because a relationship manager has to do a lot of coordination, communication. They'll do a little bit of administration, and they do slightly less. They offer a slightly lower level of technical expertise, because there will be technical discussions during relationship management, but mostly they will communicate and coordinate. And to some extent, they will administer things. For example, they may collect feedback from a higher level authority and so on. Another example of a CAT could be a service owner. If you are a service owner and you are creating a new SLA, service level agreement, then you need to be an extremely good communicator and coordinator. And to some extent, you have to administer the SLA proceedings. And to a lesser extent, you need to be a technical expert. If you look at TMA, technical comes first, then comes methods and techniques, and last is administrator. So as an example, if you're a service owner and you want to improve a change process or a change model for a specific type of change, let's say for a software application change, then you're owning a service, let's say a website service, and you want to roll out a new process for website changes, then you must be a technical expert. You need to understand the technical architecture and so on to allow application changes. So technical knowledge is essential. And methods and techniques, because you're going to look into the change management process improvement. And lastly, administer, meaning you need to make sure that the process is coming into place. Yeah. So you can creatively think about these in your own. If you're in a current role, you can try to figure out what is your competency profile. Is it CAT, TMA, LCT, or something else, MTL, or so on? Last one, LCT. So just one more thing on the TMA. So generally, a change manager can also be a TMA. A change manager needs to be good technically. When I was into changes in my own experience, I was not into change management until I had sufficient expertise in technology. Yeah. But then I also became familiar with the change management process itself. That was the second step. And the third thing, generally administering change management, for example, obtaining approvals, yeah, and so on. Last one, LCT. leader, communicator, then technical expert. So any leadership position, for example, a project manager, has to motivate people, has to inspire people to meet project deadlines and to work within the project budget and ensure project quality, service quality, product quality. And let's say a project manager is rolling out a DevOps initiative. They have to be a leader first. The company is working in a traditional manner of developing software, compiling software, testing the software, packaging it, the software, and putting it in production manually on hundreds of systems, one after another. But they want to automate everything, automatic compilation, automatic packaging, automatic deployment, yeah, the DevOps approach. Then we have to change the behavior of the people first. Organization change management have to come in, which is one of the practices of ITIL. They have to be a leader first. Then communications have to be good. Of course, naturally, any leader communicates very well, but C is also highlighted here. C and L go close together generally. Lastly, they should also be technically good to roll out the DevOps. If they don't know anything about DevOps, how do they make it happen? Yeah, therefore, LCT. Now, how can we use these profiles? I think you would already have a good understanding by now, but once again, just summarizing it for your benefit. Identify the best candidates to perform a role. First, select the candidate for certain roles. And those candidates, if they still have some gaps, train them, develop them, find out the gaps. When you have newcomers joining your service organization, tell them clearly the requirements, what is expected from them. Create the job descriptions, create the role descriptions, include one or more role descriptions in the job descriptions. If they are newcomers, whoever you find to be really good, put them in specific roles. If they are not fully fitting, but there's no one else available, develop them as well while they are in that role. If you're lucky, you already find the best people, then development may be minimal after that. At the same time, not to forget other frameworks of competencies. How is the industry doing professional development? For example, you have got SFIA, Skills Framework for the Information Age, sfia.co.org.uk. If you go there, you will see the competency profiles for the information age. And there may be other competency profiles or websites like that. Now, we need to know what these roles really mean. These competencies, because by combining the competencies, we create roles. And when we combine one or more roles, we create jobs or job descriptions and titles. Leader. So some of them are very intuitive, simple English. Leader gives a clear meaning what a leader is, but look at the ITIL way of defining it. Leadership skills and authority, decision making, delegation, oversight of the activities, supervising them, that is, incentives and motivation. A leader motivates people. Outcomes evaluation, a leader keeps a watch on the goal or the outcomes being met. Outcomes and outputs, you would have learned in ITIL Foundation, they are different. Output is like a deliverable. A website is an output. Outcome is a result of a deliverable, result of an activity, which is deliverable is a result of an activity. Outcome is a result because of outputs, using the outputs. So for example, increase of sales, reduction of cost. When you use a product which is an output, when you use a website which is a product or an output, the sales of tickets or sales of product will increase on the website or may increase. So the increase of sales is an outcome. So leader keeps a watch on the outcomes and they keep evaluating outcomes, whether the goal is reached or not. They show sufficient authority. In this case, we learned about servant leadership. So they may have to show more of servant leadership rather than command and control. Delegate tasks rather than keeping everything to themselves, but watch how the progress is. Motivate people, recognize them, reward them. make it win-win for everyone. A, administrator. They need to have administrative skills. Basically, it's more about, it could be about arranging forms and understanding what tasks to be performed and assigning the tasks. So please don't go with the traditional meaning of administrator. Though a traditional administrator does have a lot of tasks, runs errands here and there, yeah, and has a to-do list to complete. But this is task assignment and prioritization is key here. From an IT service management perspective, there may be several service management tasks to be assigned to others and to prioritize them. So team leaders need to be good administrators. Record keeping of who is doing what is the progress. Yeah. So a bit of leadership, there is some connection here also on that when we check progress. But it doesn't go too much into motivation and all that. Record keeping is essential, ongoing reporting. And so you see this connects a little bit with communication as well, and identifying basic improvement opportunities. So the relationship manager, we saw the CAT role, CAT, where the A is in the middle. So the relationship manager must be able to talk to a customer, a senior relationship manager that is, should be able to talk to the customer and come back with tasks and assign the tasks to various people in the service management function, and should prioritize those tasks with the service management people, because only then the relationship manager can go back to the customer and demonstrate that those tasks have been completed, and which can delight the customer. And they may have to report to the customer as to the progress of those promises made to the customer. And in some cases, the customer might expect improvements on some issues. They need to assign those improvement tasks or initiate those improvement tasks. Simple ones. They're not really a CI leader or a continual improvement leader there really, but they're just somewhere in the middle, so that they can maintain their relationship management in an excellent state. Or they can perform their service level agreement work in an effective manner. So for SLA owners, A is a middle skill. Looking at C, very simple, communication. All of us understand what it means. Communicate, coordinate. A bit of coordination can come in admin also, but there's a lot more coordination here. Coordinate between various people. Therefore, you see this C coming up in the project manager role in the middle instead of A. Stakeholder communication, awareness campaigns, all that. So when you looked at LCT, the project manager, the C is in the middle. When the PM is rolling out the DevOps initiative, they have to be leader first, but then they have to be communicator afterwards. Whereas in the relationship manager, it is CAT, therefore they are a communicator first, and then they are an administrator next. Then we have M, methods and techniques expert. As the name suggests, they need to be expert in technical areas, not technology like the bottom one T, but techniques. For example, some estimation techniques or design techniques. That's what you see here. They need to be a good consultant, expert in the work methods. They have to know things like maybe Kanban, agile approaches, design and implementation. Yeah, procedures. If they are a project, interestingly, we don't see the M in the project manager role because the project manager role is LCT. Yeah, but after T, maybe M can come. Again, it can depend on the nature of the project manager's job. In some projects, the methods can be more important than the other areas. Yeah. But if you look at a change manager, a person who is improving a change model or a change process will require this competency to some extent, at least. They need to know how change management works, how to design and implement a change process or improve an existing change process. Therefore, continual improvement is also there. They have to facilitate the documentation of the change model or the change process and provide expertise there on the procedures rather than technology. Analysis. So while the M focuses more on the process, the T focuses more on technology. So a person with good a combination of M and T can be an extremely good architect or a designer. So please play around with these 5 competency profiles, competency indicators, and combine them to make a competency profile. So once again, just to summarize the examples, CAT, C for communication, A for admin, T for technical, relationship manager, or a service owner involved in an SLA agreement. TMA, technical, then methods, then administrator, a change manager who is improving a change model, or a service manager who is improving a change model or a process. Another example, LCT, leader, coordinator, technical. Project manager rolling out a DevOps initiative, a leader first, then communicator, then technical expert. Just giving you a view on what else is coming up. There is still a little more to be understood on the team capabilities, roles, and competencies. So let's do that. Spend the next few minutes on that. We have looked at the 5 competency indicators. Let's look at some general skills required. Mapping towards IT service management. These are very intuitive, meaning they come naturally to anybody involved in service management, but awareness and developing these skills can make a big difference to individuals. Communication skills, market and organizational knowledge, management and administration, leadership. Some roles may require a lot more communication than others. Some roles may require a lot more market knowledge. For example, the people at the top, the strategists, they need a lot more of this. The people who are in relationship management and service desk, they need a lot more communication skills. Those who are into arranging certain facilities, they may need more management administration kind of skills. And of course, those who are driving new initiatives need to be leaders who make things happen, complex things happen, will be leaders. Just a few key indicators here rather than reading it word by word. Communication skills means they are good not only in spoken language, but also written, even body language, cultural adaptation, etc. Relationship management, know how to deal with people from different areas, different cultures, and so on. How to manage with their own colleagues, internal, external communications. Market and organization is about industry. If I come from IT, let's say I'm into data centers, I need to be aware about how is the industry doing the data centers. Maybe there's a trend towards green data centers or trend towards new types of cooling systems or electrical systems. So that's important. Who are the competitors? What are the costs? If I have to build a data center, then I have to look at the various expenses and decide the best ones to procure. Yeah. So, but then again, it's also about who are the competitors, what kind of data centers they are offering. It's not so much about technology here, but rather the market and what kind of products are coming out in the market. Who is our competitor? Can we roll out something new? Can our organization really develop this product? Are we innovative enough or not? All that. How much to spend, making the business case, yeah, those things. Management and admin, a lot of logistics here because the word admin, administration leads us to logistics, making things happen, coordinating, bit of coordination. HR people do a lot of management and administration because they help us in recruiting people and training programs and arranging all that. Team building requires off-site events and game playing and all that. So it requires management and administration. Some amount of documentation. Leadership, remember these are not the same as the LACMT. This is a general view of. So which means if you're in this when we talk about this competency, it may involve one or more of those competency indicators. So this is just a generalized approach, not a very specific approach. Leadership, we know this very well. Influence, motivate, support. One need not be born as a leader. Some people may be lucky they're born as leaders, but it's possible to learn leadership. Myself, I know very well, I was not a born leader, but my job forced me to become a leader. I was put in demanding roles. I wanted to be a technical expert, but my career led me, my destiny led me towards management roles, and senior management roles became very demanding. So I took a lot of personal time in developing my own communication skills, developing my influencing skills. I used to attend sales programs. I used to attend communication programs. A lot of it was theory actually, which was not really useful to me. But I used to take some of those theories and implement at least one or two of those theories into reality and make it a habit. And gradually over the years, I found out that some of my behaviors and skills had been modified and improved, and I could become some kind of a leader. Without leadership, things do not happen. Therefore, it's an important, essential skill, which at least some people should have. There are some more skills, not only those four. We have business and commercial skills, relationship management, innovation skills. There are some people who are good in business. They know how to negotiate pricing, where to buy from, how to sell it, where to sell it. And they make good partnerships. They know how to sign off deals. And they know how to create and sell a business case, how to present a business case to convince the people who are providing the funding, either internal funders or external funders. They're good in creating marketing materials because they have business and commercial skills. Yeah, they can also do some ethical manipulation to get the business, which is essential actually. Be street smart as well. Relationship management is about partnering. So there's a connection between the business and relationship, definitely. But this focuses more on connectivity. Connection leads to relationship. It's more about understanding the other and what they really want, capture their demand, and then tell them what we can give them, demonstrate value to them, communicate the value to them, yeah, feedback, obtaining feedback, giving feedback, make it interactive. Yeah, communication skills, as you see there. Yeah. Understand, therefore, in summary, understanding and keep the flow, make things happen. Secondarily, delegate to somebody else and make things happen as expected by the customer. But the first step is to connect and capture the demand. Innovation, some people are good at it. They're entrepreneurial. They know how to create new things. They experiment. Problem solving is a traditional skill, but if a person is a good problem solver and also creative, then it's an excellent combination. They know how to use something. If there's a new technology, they immediately know how the new technology can be used to sell something in the market to benefit the community. Traditionally, it was more about money making, but nowadays it's not just money making. It's about creating an impact to the community. It's about making a difference to the people around us. That's why the younger entrepreneurs have a different mindset. As they say, the millennials and the post-millennials are different. Yeah, it reminds me of the baby boomers, then the X generation, the Y generation, the Z generation. Some colorful pictures here. This is actually about the professionals. A single picture speaks 1,000 words. T-shaped, pie-shaped, comb-shaped. Traditionally, people had only one expertise. If I'm a programmer, then I need to be a good programmer. I don't know anything else. Maybe we can call that an I-shaped person. But T-shaped professionals have emerged in the recent years. They will be specialists in one area and they are generalized in several other areas. So if you got a team of 10 people, if there are 10 T-shaped professionals in that, one of them is a programmer, but that programmer is also a good problem solver, is also a good negotiator, so they can do other things as well. So they can back up. So if the key negotiator is absent in that team, this programmer can stand in for the chief negotiator temporarily. They may not be highly specialized in negotiation, but they may be able to do a bit of support in negotiation. So T-shaped is one deep specialization, another general broad knowledge, at least in one area. Or several, usually this is in several areas. They may be good in communications, problem solving, innovation, negotiation, influencing, and so on. It's like that. Yeah, even traditionally people used to be like that, but not so much so. They'd be highly focused on what they are doing. And they'd be quite weak in the other areas. Pie-shaped is even more challenging. They are specialists in two areas, which is more demanding and may take longer time to happen. And they have broad knowledge in other areas. A person who is a designer and also a commercial expert. And this is the most difficult one, comb-shaped. They have specializations in several areas. I think this can happen for people maybe who are older, who have worked in different areas. For example, I have myself worked in software development. I have worked in IT support, and not really software that is, but systems management and so on. Like even things like service management, and compare that with software development, software testing. So maybe I could say I'm somewhat pie-shaped, or maybe a little bit comb-shaped, because you need more high specialization in more than one area. So again, I'm not trying to boast about myself, but just from an example perspective, what I was messaging is that becoming pie-shaped and comb-shaped generally can take some time to happen. But if the education covers the basics of at least two specialized areas, then it is faster for the individual to become pie-shaped. Okay, with that, I'd like to pause here and ask you if you have any other questions or any questions on that. Please do not hesitate.